Hello, everybody. We are back. But this time, we're going back to the Great Ace Attorney. We finished the first game. Well, most of the first game. But the ending that we did, because we went like almost 4 hours on that last one, because that last trial took a long time, and I didn't want to keep them up. So none of you missed a whole lot. But here's what happened in between. So they were able to catch up to Sasato in time to see her before she left to go on the ferry. And what they discovered was that the message that was found on those discs actually encoded a secret code message that was actually done in Japanese. It was actually Japanese Morse code that they found on the discs. And what they translated it from, there were 4 names on that message. One of them was Kazuma Asogi, who was our best friend that got murdered on the boat.
Damn.
Some random person named Asashin, who we don't know, I don't even know who that is, and it was never even introduced in the first game, so none of us know who Asashin is. Then there was Tobias Gregson, our favorite fish and chips detective. And then there was John H. Wilson, the victim from the first case of the first game, and who is also the alleged father of Iris. So those 4 names were included in that Morse code, and we have no idea why those names were included on there. The game never concluded that. It left it on a cliffhanger when this game came out in 2017, so there was like a 2-year gap between the 2 games. So everyone kept wondering, what's the connection between all 4 of these people? So that's what we missed, and you didn't really miss much. So, Sasato's now back in Japan trying to visit her sick father, because that was the excuse for her going back. So the animation at the end was they all waved goodbye to her, and Ryunosuke decided to stay in Britain to continue his studies, and is now still living with Sherlock and Iris. And so this is where we are right now. And just a spoiler alert, Ryunosuke is not in this first case. And so Sylph here is going to have a bigger role this time around, but I promised her if she feels like she needs to drop out, Star Sato will come in and fill in if need be. But we got a star-studded cast. Simp Prosecutor comes back, so get ready. Not as many simp moments, but he may be simpy in terms of attitude.
Let's get going.
Can't wait. This is gonna be good.
The cloud. Oh.
Well, shit, I'm an orphan.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital. You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court.
I need cases!
Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
I find myself faced with the crime.
So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer. So please,
Oh god, it's old lady.
I ask for your guidance.
And the bird died too.
Kazuma-sama.
Yes, so that's the gravesite of Kazuma. And we should also say this was during a time period where women were not allowed into the courtroom at all.
Fuck the standards, right?
Yes. So, and they're all wearing Jotaro hats, the bailiffs.
Here I am again after 9 months. The Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself.
Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late.
Professor Oak. Oh, yes, good morning, sir.
Welcome to the wonderful world of Pokemon. I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, Counsel.
God damn it, Joey. I almost choked on my water with that.
But you look as white as a sheet, and those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either.
Oh, dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous. I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born.
Oof.
Oh,
Damn.
Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say.
Yujin Mikotoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. A man who, earlier in his life, traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father.
Excuse me.
Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today?
Oh, yes, that's right, miss.
Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, the whole thing.
Ray Membami, born the same year as I, and my greatest friend. Though unusual for a woman in her time, she works at the university research laboratory helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder, as opposed to the wonderful murders. Are you feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed.
Oh my, it's just that you look so gallant and dashing.
Sorry?
And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel quite rather bashful.
are you lesbian?
Oh.
She doesn't know it's a she.
Oh.
Goodness, I don't think she knows.
This is gonna be hilarious if she does.
She hasn't realized who I am. Okay, Wario.
Knock it off, Wario.
It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work.
Oh? What do you mean, Professor Mikotoba?
If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax.
Disguise?
Yes. I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. This does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father.
Father?
Is that you, Susato?
I'm so sorry I didn't say anything sooner, Ray.
No! What are you doing? What's going on? What? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that varsity cape, that varsity badge? Look at you! You look for all the world just to see a student of the Imperial Yume University, a male student.
I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start.
Well, shit.
But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that?
Well, you see...
It was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial.
My defense?
Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom. Despite the fact that the laws of the lands applied to all people, male and female, alike.
But women are forbidden.
Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door. So that I can act as your lawyer.
Oh, Susato. You'd go to such great lengths for me?
Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve.
Oh no, I have complete faith in you.
Ray,
It's so strange though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman,
What a wretched reason! I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing.
Ray. Please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes.
oh, I'm sorry. It's just, you really do look so dashing.
Yes, you mentioned that once or twice.
You should be pleased. It makes you look convincing as a man.
Calm down there, Wario.
I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Ray, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly.
Susato. You believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have.
I mean, murder.
Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean.
I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer.
That means so much to me, Susato.
Defendant! Counsel! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty.
Guilty!
Oh,
Judge Circus.
stand aside!
I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast.
Gotta go fast!
I think she just did the Naruto run.
351.
Well, Susato, you've clearly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom, and with no prior experience of being a lawyer.
There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming Ray doesn't know how it came to this.
Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case.
Yikes.
I didn't want to burden her with that.
And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case. Is it really because of who the victim was?
So all the defense lawyers were simps for her. We should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student.
Thank you, Father.
Is Dracula in this?
No.
Why would I be all the way in Japan when I'm here in London supporting my husband and wife?
I don't know, you don't like Renosuke so much that you decide to go on a
Yes, my one true my one
Take him out.
my one true love who I cannot have.
I'm Susato Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan.
Ladies.
How many times had I wished that he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san.
This court has now in session to hear the trial of Ray Wakabayashi.
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency.
That was good.
Yeah.
me
you
of the
do.
you reminded me of the Rocket Power episode for some reason, where Sam's looking at himself in the thing and he's like, "I look cool."
Defense Counsel, are you ready?
Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready.
Ready?
Ah, yes, Counsel. According to your registration details, your name is Naruto. Is that correct?
Ryutaro.
Sorry?
Naruto.
And now she's doing the Ryunosuke thing.
Ah, yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture.
We heard.
So, I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. It was gonna be Jotaro, but,
Well, Counsel?
Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I am Ryotaro, who has vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan.
Ah,
it seems Ryotaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first than not overdo it. And those wild, wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen.
Ryunosuke had wide eyes.
A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be...
You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as a part of a study program. This is,
His cousin.
That's right. Ryotaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers.
Any of them.
Tut tut tut. What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused had to call in a country boy.
How dare you! was every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. Oh shit, did I fuck up? I won't have you making fun of her!
Her?
Please be careful, Ray.
Tish ha ha. What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not.
I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through.
Are you peeing your pants too?
Maybe. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flint.
Yeah, I didn't get that either when I read that the first time. I was like, what does that mean?
What the hell?
the case to be heard on this day is the matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire.
Just like the trial 9 months ago.
Shut up, Sim.
And yet, for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock, dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense. To determine whether you are significantly competent to proceed in this courtroom.
Ableist. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now. This same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy.
So, counsel, do you consist to answering some simple questions?
Alright, it's time to prove myself. Ow! Yes, Your Excellency. But please do make them simple.
Remember when I said the questions were going to be simple? That's right, Your Excellency, you did. I lied.
You
Very
bastard.
well. Very well. Start with. You will state the name of the victim.
Ooh, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried. Ah,
What's the matter?
now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, mine Tsar wants to blank.
It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances.
Oh dear, this is a dismal failure.
Don't fret. You need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem.
Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case and the court record.
That's right. Just use some imaginary buttons on some video game controller you just don't happen to have back in these time periods. Then you need to do something or whatever that future generations would be able to do maybe sometime in the year 2022. And don't forget, even if you try to play video games like this, there's always the story mode option that just does everything for you.
Alright, check the court record with that strange button. That's where the information I need will be.
Witchcraft, I tell you, it's witchcraft. I'm waiting, counsel.
You should have done it in like this Sonic voice. I'm waiting.
I'm waiting.
There you go. There you go. All right, now it's time to get a little achievement. There are achievements in this game, and the first achievement we have to do is we have to guess wrong twice.
What? Oh god.
What?
Why?
Please don't.
Bless you. The victim in this case is, yes, Prosecutor Takatsuki Ouchi.
What?
Why the sudden triumphant cry of yes? Are you threatening to kill me?
Perhaps. He seems angry.
And you're surprised? Did you consult the court record? You must look through it carefully.
Oh yes, I did, of course. I looked at everyone on file. And I chose the person whose features appeared to be the most deathly.
I must say, this most unusual methodology of yours leaves me almost speechless. It occurs to me with renewed certainty that reading the information carefully is vitally important. I strongly recommend it.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna go check my laundry.
Alright.
I'll be back.
Alright.
I'm sorry. Just
Oh, no, it's
seeing,
fine.
seeing you make wrong answers like this is making me cringe a bit. I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay. Oh dear, I simply can't ignore that imploring look. Your Excellency, please allow me to amend my answer.
Very well. I would excuse this incorrect response given your wide-eyed state of panic. What's the name of the victim in this case?
Oh gosh. The victim in this case is none other than Professor Eugen Mikotoba.
What?
Uh-oh.
Well, to be written off by one's own child.
Father, you seem suddenly so much older and wearier than you were mere moments ago.
Because of you, clearly. The judge is asking for the victim's name, the person who was killed in this case. Look through the information in the court record again, carefully. Before you kill me, for mercy's sake.
Oh dear, I simply can't ignore that disapproving look.
So we got the Father Frustrator Award.
Your Excellency, please allow me to please allow me to amend my answer again.
Very well. I will excuse this incorrect response. Blah, blah, blah. What's the name of the victim in this case? God damn it!
Yes!
The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett.
Giselle Brett? A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure.
Correct. And being a member of our this, you will be aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was visiting student from the Emperor of Great Britain. Why then is her name intimately associated with our own empire? Judicial system.
Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record.
Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett. I'm the woman's student performance persona was the face of... Oh gosh, Queen Victoria.
Yep, that's an option.
Yes!
9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett.
Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain.
Sorry, I'm spaced out.
And it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours. Oh.
Oh, I should have been reading that.
They didn't tell us who was supposed to be saying that. They just automatically assume Mikotoba's the one saying it. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He had been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, It was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university.
How I got away with it because of you stupid kids.
Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly.
Indeed, it was. Which is why the secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme. A student of the Imperial University was arrested on suspicion of murder.
Murder.
A second-year English language student by the name of Naruski Hodo, with the help of his best friend, student lawyer, the accused conducted his own offense and exposed the despicable crime committed by this Jezebel.
And holy crap, I'm the one who ended up being accused of my own murder.
Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive, that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life. And she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion.
Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead.
Why Shanghai?
There's a British consular court there.
Circus. Where'd you at?
Circus, did we lose you?
I just came back. I just got kicked off Skype.
Oh,
It always,
Oh,
it
weird.
always does every time we go live. I don't know why. Hold on, I'm trying to get everything.
Okay.
Sorry for the technical problems.
First time we had that in a while.
Yeah,
So, who saw the Nintendo Direct today?
I did.
Anything good?
Well, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is gonna be coming out in September, which I'm excited for. They're gonna be doing Mario Kart 8 DLC, so they're gonna have like 48 new racetracks that are gonna be released over the next 2 years. So no Mario
Oh.
Kart 9. There's gonna be a new Mario Strikers game, a Wii
Is that
Sports
the soccer game?
Yes. A Wii Sports sequel, but they're calling it Nintendo Switch Sports. Earthbound is gonna be on Switch Online, as long as also the NES version of it, which I think was called Earthbound Origins or something like that.
Or otherwise known as Mother 1.
Yes, but they're gonna keep using Earthbound here.
What about Mother 3 or aka Earthbound 2?
No. So let's see.
I oversaw the negotiation for. I couldn't fucking get that word out. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. And all that remains of our Emperor's obligations was to see the woman safely on aboard a steamer.
And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed.
Only the day before.
That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is significantly capable of representing the defendant.
Oh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle.
Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Aka.
Ouchie.
Whatever.
Just think, ouchie, that hurt.
Yeah, look with names, I'm telling you.
As is your wish, Your Excellency.
Don't worry, the original Ace Attorney games will be much easier.
The repugnant crime took place on the 11th August in broad daylight.
Oh, look at that seagull
Yeah.
fighting the other two. It's mine.
As,
Mine.
Bu- as,
Mine.
as Bucciarati would point out, that's not a seagull, that's a black-tailed gull.
We
On
don't
the
talk
out-
about Bruno.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
talk about Bruno here.
I need to see that movie still, god damn it.
On the outskirts of the Imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes.
You shouldn't be saying that word, Mr. Simp.
The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung,
Rest in peace, bird.
an injury which proved fatal. There were two persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Membami. Accordingly, there could be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when you consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady.
Well, that's an extraordinary depiction of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say.
That's certainly true. The prosecutor's summary was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... if I may, Prosecutor Ouchie? Oh, crap, hold on.
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
Yep.
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot.
Ha! My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skin's...
No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea?
For old time's sake, I believe?
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
Oof.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request?
Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal.
Don't look at me, Professor! It was the government who granted permission, not I! In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing can go wrong.
But in fact, a murder took place. So it did go wrong.
I said don't look at me! It was that young student girl who did it, not I!
No one has proved that yet.
I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to.
What is he gonna do, stab me?
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna fan you to death.
Roger, you can simple once he finds out you're a girl.
Damn.
I don't know that! As far as I know, he's a country boy.
Oh gosh, I was gonna make a reference to Avatar Kyoshi, who had the fans. At this stage, I need to gather more information, I think. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... Membami-san.
Yes?
What is this? Naruhodo-san.
I'm really starting to wish you made my alias Ryotaro Susato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her.
Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there is only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
I love how that one piece of hair is just moving, just that one piece.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
We didn't have toupees back then. Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again.
Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel.
Tish ha ha.
That little curl on his head, I keep looking at it.
Oh, and there's a story behind that too.
Would it be bad to say it looks like a little poop?
Why would it be? Why would a little piece of poop be moving like that? Unless it has like a little something inside of it. TMI though.
The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you.
Oh dear, this is really terrifying. But Father's right, we need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about a powerful motive. You're cleverly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement.
Tut, tut, tut. Is the yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand?
I beg your pardon.
No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Membami-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe?
Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Miko Toba and his laboratory at the moment.
I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then?
Oh, Well, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson.
Oh, gotcha. Oops. Oh, never mind.
Dr. Wilson, the visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago?
The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true?
Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman that killed him.
Well, obviously, I was filled with hatred for what she had done, a powerful hatred.
Oh no, Ray. Be careful of what you're saying.
Oh,
The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency.
I mean, based on that logic, Mr. Simp over there had as much reason to want to get... Oh wait, no, never mind. I was thinking the opposite.
I believe
don't go into that way, you pervert!
I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now.
Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions.
Seeing the murderer of the mentor for whom she had such great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty.
Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai, you can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment.
Poor Ray.
So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident.
The Swan did it.
I will say, in the history of Ace
Yes,
Attorney, an animal has never been guilty of a murder.
Oh.
Oh.
Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image.
As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden.
The court will accept this photographic print as evidence.
Hi, what do you want, honey?
As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. And this is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accused's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence.
Witnesses, but who?
One of whom I might add is a highly respected police detective.
Oh,
Oh no.
He's back.
I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Oh. Elliot.
Very well then, Counsel. Bring forth your witness.
Oh, here we go. Monologue time. I, Takatsuchi Ouchi, have been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Oh, yes, I haven't forgotten. That trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse. When that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me.
yeah, I remember that.
Ah! Renosuke Naruhodo!
Yes?
Say the not good. Now.
This insult to the Archie family name will never be forgotten.
You've become conceited with age, Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that.
Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The start of your own Meiji Revolution. Are you motorizing as well, Council?
Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the Achi growth.
What?
You see? You see this seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown?
I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something.
I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is this hope exactly?
I said silence! Today, I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you, whatever. And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned!
What does this have to do with your defense, Council?
With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand.
It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose.
A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life.
Sorry, it's been pops because I've had static.
Oh gosh, it's him.
Oh my gosh, it's
Ow!
Okay, that's it.
Really, Elliot? You were just mad because you couldn't see Wagahai again?
Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court.
Chief Inspector Satoru Holsanaga, Imperial
What is
Police
it?
Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can't go undetected.
And I am, well, the next big thing in books. And Arthur renowned through his capital in the fence, yes. Soon to be sold, the scandal, I am a cat. A sensational success by Naskoshi Natsumi.
And that's me in
Oh
the
my God.
background taking interviews.
Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Struggling student from Providence, please. You need it to be all of me.
I needn't.
Oh gosh.
It's only natural that you feel nervous in my presence. But all of you, please, relax. Call me Suzuki, even.
Seki.
Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here?
Oh gosh.
Tread carefully, Sasato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun.
Oh
Yes. Yes, of course. I know. I presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months, or
Ow,
so
my-
that it's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosanaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe.
Oh my god, it's fucking ridiculous.
Do I have something on my face?
Did he get more gray streaks? Well, your glasses, for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either.
Ah, I suppose it's this disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly.
Well, I can appreciate why an inferior police detective might have been impressive. But what business did the writers such as yourself have being the scene such as you saw?
Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial University Grand Lecture Hall, no less.
At Yume University.
After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the medical science department. The professor over there, in fact.
With Professor Mikotoba.
Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about two former students who had studied in Great Britain.
Of course, being renowned Arthur, the press never leave me alone. They eagerly spy, snap shots, scramble stories, and scrap for my privacy.
What a scoop!
Ha.
As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggle student friend. I have plenty of copies.
Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me.
And now for the Natsume throw. Hoya!
Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words.
As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course.
At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her.
Tea time! Osinaga!
Mooney, are you there?
Pardon me. The detective I'm at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga.
Thereby, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems.
It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so...
Just yell there's a shark in the water and everyone leave.
I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly.
You're bleeding from your mouth, sir.
Oh my, Inspector, you... Well, you do have something on your face right now.
Oh, how slightly. I do apologize.
Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father?
Hell no. No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, It meant that, as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place.
Of course. Being a renowned author, I don't like to decline the invitation. Ah! Well, if I only had, I never have seen that awful sight. Witnessly wrecked by remorse and regret.
Oh, this is going in the headlines.
What the? That paparazzo.
Very well. I must ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast.
Of course, Your Excellency.
Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am.
And now you're Yoda.
Regrets and remorse I am.
On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise.
I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard an harder fall from behind me.
I ran into the beach, but at once, where I found the pair in question.
Yes, yes, yes! That young girl was screwed by the English woman's dagger in hand as she stabbed wildly.
I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed a victim multiple times.
Man, why did my guy look like he's taking a shit?
I was just about to say.
Hey, don't get the wrong idea.
Indeed. It
No,
does.
where the fuck is Torgo? Is that you, Torgo, right over there?
Indeed, it does appear from the testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this.
What?
Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, that was it. Damning evidence.
What have you have there, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it?
Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body.
Now, if you pay close attention, he's got a turtle on top of his head.
I know!
Turtle.
I see it. Turtle.
Oh,
Turtle, turtle, turtle.
am I too turtle to be in the turtle club?
Oh, God damn it. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer.
What?
Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Ah, goodness me. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand.
That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency.
Ah, the owner's initials have been engraved into the element barrel. RM. Ray. The initials of the defendant.
Ah. No! Ow.
Oh God.
The fountain pen will be omitted immediately as crucial evidence.
So, have I omitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel.
I don't understand. The prosecutor outed you of 9 months ago. Had none of this man's poise.
I have joined the No Fap movement.
I think he's a wizard.
He thinks.
Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now.
The judge is just laughing at him. It's like, okay, the defense. Fucking ouchie, what an asshole.
Fuck Ouchie. The rest of the courtroom hates Ouchie.
Yeah.
God. It's like that meme.
All the homies hate Ouchie.
Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me. That means me, yes.
Is there another Naruto in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom.
Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please.
Alright, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do.
I'm like dying.
Something and breakthrough.
Well, what would be on this judge's food menu, Circus?
Ramen. Top-notch ramen.
What flavor?
Any flavor.
Let's see if I can grab my Japanese cookbooks and see what I can find.
Yes, Moonies are shit.
Hold on, let me go grab my book.
Objection!
With that accusatory cry that welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood out here at this bench, stakes have been very, very high indeed.
What's the meaning of that menacing pose, counsel?
I'd like the witness to clarify something for me.
Oh, what? Where? When? How?
Which?
The 5 W's.
Damn.
Not you, Soseki-san.
You.
The query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga.
At me?
He's doing a pose too. And your statement just now. You said that the victim was stabbed multiple times.
Yes, that's right. As I said, when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon.
And yet, that cannot be.
What?
Get to the point.
In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. One.
Ah.
In other words, Inspector Hosonaga's testimony is clearly flawed.
Ah!
And Soseki-san,
Me?
you claim to have seen Membame-san in the throes of stabbing the victim.
Yes, I did. Wildly.
But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point. That there was already blood on a knife that you saw the defendant holding.
Yes. And?
And I still look like a thing of the
From hostile with parts. It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there's no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred.
Ah, true!
The turtle.
Then what exactly is your conduction, Council? Are you ever going to tell us?
Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What Soseki saw, in fact, saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant, in fact, withdrew the blade from the victim's body.
That can't be.
The movie.
Excellent work, Sasato. You exploded at them with that objection, and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically.
Hell yeah, I did.
Tish ha ha. Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged the scene much like this in that trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection, attempting to steal the show.
You're right. There were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution. It has only a half head of hair.
Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference.
What? Why not?
Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade, ready for her next strike, that the witness saw. The knife was already tainted with blood, because the accused had already stabbed the victim.
Yeah.
All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance.
Ah! Ow.
Okay, I'm still looking up ingredients.
I am in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, that is the significant grounds for her action to be viewed with suspicion.
But if she was withdrawing the blade...
Then we are back where we started.
Sorry?
Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim, and with the demon's cold-blooded composure, too? The prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good.
Why did Ray pull out the knife?
Ah, yes. Going for the jugular.
What does Father mean by that?
Let the court hear your answer then, counsel.
The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could... What? According to the postmortem report, the victim's death was not instant.
That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while, shortly after sustaining the injury.
Indeed, giving her the time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer.
The point is, being a medical research assistant, remember me, son, was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life.
Tish, ha. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed.
Ugh. Just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here?
Your Excellency, if I may.
Big weakness.
I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect of the slipshod assertion just put forward by the Yokel Defense Council, I mean.
Slipshod?
Tish, ha. An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopeful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense.
Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. And you will testify again before the court on the subject of the Defense Counsel's assertion.
Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly.
The turtle will do no wrong either.
Except bite Mickey in the crotch.
Damn it, Sylph!
Oh, you didn't see that cartoon?
No?
The big one?
Damn it, Sylph. I'm trying to speak.
Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there is no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected. What the?
Mentor.
Mentor, yeah.
Is what you said, is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily?
Yes. Think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed.
Oh, I see.
Ha! This is why yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it.
Can I slap this guy?
Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so...
In answer to your question, Circus, you could do whatever you want.
Yay!
Of course you
Off
haven't.
his head.
Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit.
Father, is it true what they're telling me?
Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways.
But then, why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out the knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett?
I don't know.
Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. Seems almost impossible to believe, but... could my friend actually have?
Sasato!
Uh-oh. Yes?
Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here.
Ah,
Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination.
oh, yes, Your Excellency.
However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving my objection immediately afterwards.
I understand. Believing in your client and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard.
Hey, Sir Komodo.
All right, now let's go back to that menu for this judge.
Okay.
You said ramen, so
Yeah, and Mooney's on chef.
Let's see. I've got a few options. What about, like, say, we got things like nama udon, teriyaki chicken with some teriyaki sauce.
Oh yeah, we gotta have dumplings.
Of course. Nothing like that, or a little bit of karage, Japanese style chicken nuggets.
This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it.
Sasato, it's at times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals.
The fundamentals.
Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it?
Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already.
I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too. I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom. So if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help.
Examine the evidence in the court record. Zenaidia, certainly. What should I do? Come to think of it, Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san were always turning evidence over and over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with this strange button.
Ah, by the looks in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. You may just find a clue.
A clue! Yes, I'll do it straight away.
You know what we need?
A blue dog?
Here's how it never fails.
Let's see, I've also thought about a special thing called, okonomiyaki, which is basically like Japanese style pizza.
Ooh.
Jinx?
How about Japanese style spaghetti?
If we ever, I don't know what that'd be called.
Spagata.
Let's see.
This is the newspaper from Soseki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. From Yume's Medical Research. Father, isn't that your lab?
What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen?
In this morning's paper that Soseki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know?
As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the reporter have gleaned his information?
Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there?
It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest confidence. I'd put Ray in charge of the project.
Ray, she was managing it.
If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow.
I don't believe it.
We need to read this article very carefully.
Do.
Objection!
No, there is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound.
What?
Ha! The yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but is also a poor loser.
You're a poor loser.
Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified?
It's here, in this newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Unity Universe. I guess I'll go fuck myself then.
The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case.
But
Circus?
Professor Achu, you will let the defense speak. What?
Prosecutor, achoo! Now I'm just waiting for a prosecutor that just sneezes all the time. Like he just does an exaggerated sneeze, like achoo!
But a newspaper article. The court cannot rely on the kind of hearsay those wretched publications carry.
Counsel for the defense. I'm going to need some tangible bias for your claim. You will indicate the court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentioned affirms your assertion.
Your Excellency.
yes, of course. Thank you. Ray would never have done something to further endanger Miss Britt's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim body is explained in the article where it says, the article revealed the following properties about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body and a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes.
Are you suggesting?
If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Membini-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body.
What?
Objection! This is complete and utter nonsense.
Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility.
Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document.
Well, that's because by acting quick to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking hold.
Objection!
Oh god.
Oh, please. This is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is at all reliable anyway.
In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potential lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense.
Exactly. Well put, Inspector. On what grounds should she do it, Yoko?
Well, I did raise suspect that the stolen poison was involved. If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds.
What?
You can't possibly.
From your expression, Counsel, it would appear those are not empty words. But naturally, as you stand in the courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are no value in our modern justice system. The court demands what myself do.
Evidence. Yes, Your Excellency, I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times from my place at his side in the Old Bailey.
In that case, Counsel, you will be present to prove duty. What evidence demonstrate a clear link between this?
I would ask the court to refer to notes section of the postmortem report, which reads: extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim.
Ah!
Okay, clearly being a Yoko with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please do tell me. Presumably the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in the postmortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death.
Tisk. Well.
Under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most likely unusual, yes.
What are you doing, you yokel detective?
In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death.
What?
If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely.
Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without doubt.
Prosecutor Ouchie, I think you'll agree. This is very compelling evidence.
Tisk, you. Yokel student and yokel professor!
I believe the defense has appropriately demonstrated a credible reason for the defense action.
No.
Ojan Makotoba,
Yes, Your Excellency.
I believe you are the best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in the newspaper.
It pains me to have to admit it. But I'm afraid I don't know.
You don't know?
The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory. Certainly, but I was unaware of any theft.
Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded?
No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say.
Ha! Listen to the bumbling academic. Unaware of the theft of secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in the newspaper.
I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision.
Father.
Tisk! A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off on killing sprees.
That's totally unfounded.
Hold it.
What? Oh.
None of this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault.
Ray.
Mahapasan, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated.
But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew?
I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was.
Why didn't you let me know immediately?
I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So, I decided to try and get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was.
The thief? You don't mean...
Yes, of course. It was that dainty English woman.
Miss Jezebel, Brett.
That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on the stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison!
Well, now.
Whatever do you mean?
And then... she suddenly got to her feet. Before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils in her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints.
I don't believe it.
In other words, you realize that the victim was suffering the effects of the stone poison.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips while I'd been with her. Which only left one possible way for the poison to have entered her body.
On the blade of the knife in her pack.
And the train of thought was that the urged you to withdraw the blade.
Yes, if the amount that had entered into her bloodstream was enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent this whole time.
Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not. However, I have a duty to know that the courage with you best in the end.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now.
Objection! Your Excellency, do not be deceived. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, Membami-san, if that is the case, perhaps you can explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed.
Well,
You have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge.
But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you?
Oh, I have evidence, and it is very much conclusive.
What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You will produce the this evidence at once. Best. At you.
Perhaps some praise is due, young yokel student. I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. But you've brought this on yourself.
Oh shit. What the? Could a more damning shot exist? The cruelty in the air on that beach is almost palpable.
This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. For it shows the precise moment that Membami-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back.
no, that's not true. No.
I don't believe it. Ah! Ow!
Order! Order! Order!
I'd like to get some Big Mac and some fries, please.
We all know Robin here. Counsel for the defense. Was it you who was responsible for the sure scream that just pierced my courtroom?
Perhaps his voice is yet to break? These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature.
Ableist. Oh, so you who's slow to mature?
Careful now. Sasato is starting to show her face here.
It is often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And here we have ample proof. The court will accept the extraordinary contingent photographic print as evidence.
I can't believe he's had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time. It's such a stark image. It's such a, something for words.
Wait a minute. I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph?
Attention! That's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention.
Oh.
Objection!
That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photograph, the print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony.
Arg!
I will uphold the defense demand. The prosecution.
Whoa! The prostitution will do what I say immediately.
That's a very different word.
The
I s-
prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking the photograph.
Wow, we got a little something going on right here, you guys.
The prostitution will now understand what will happen when I put this guilty verdict in. I sentence you to my sex dungeon.
Oh god, that's my snoo.
But it will not be you that will be handcuffed. It will be me. And then you will be whipping me. Then you realize the judge has a BDSM thing.
There we got 2 judges for our little tale.
Well, I'm afraid I can't do that.
I must concur, Prosecutor Achu. You will come down with me.
No, Your Excellency.
My sides.
Pardon?
You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. But there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown.
Goodness.
Are we to understand then, Counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court?
When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment. Because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you? Silence! You yokel student and blabbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses.
But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly, this is the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but...
The moment it was withdrawn? Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed. Without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of identifying the claim. And the scene it captures is without a doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court, and the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
Oh no.
Sasato, this is the time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there could be no doubt.
Yes, indeed.
This photograph shows the moment that Wei withdrew the blade from the victim.
We just need to prove that somehow.
Tish ha ha. You'll have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces.
Ableist.
And to rue the day you came against Taksakuchi Ouchi in a court of law.
I'd rather see him sipping somebody.
If I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, counsel?
Your Excellency. The burning question is who took the photograph, and the truth is... Oh. Ow. This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, as I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal.
What? No, you can't possibly. But, as you so boldly claim that you can, please, do enlighten us.
Unfortunately, unable to present a name.
How utterly underwhelming. Did you really believe you could...
However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity.
What?
Very well then, counsel. Present your proof to the court.
Take that!
What's that? The newspaper again. England returns to tell all.
It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Honor. Your Excellency, it's the photograph. If you look at it closely, you notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Ah, yes, indeed. They had already caught my eye as it happened.
Ha! What of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably, from the branches of a tree or the like.
There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you.
Now, if you look at this photograph...
Look at this photograph.
Oh no. Good gracious.
That's exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph, too.
Well, that tells us nothing. Ha! Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely, from the branches of a tree.
A white shadow. There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach, Council.
Nymph.
quite remarkable about it is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired?
The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of...
Camera defect.
Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs.
With the photographic device?
Yes, we can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched. And that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device.
In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera.
But there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital.
Yeah, but one defect does the same thing. I think
It would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
Objection!
I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Rauchi, that one of the photographs featured in a newspaper article.
A newspaper. Ah!
That's right. The author of the article is the mystery witness to this crime.
What? What?
he just had a heart attack. Ah! I see. I see. You were called the Frankish England Church. I can't pronounce shit anymore.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
It's a memento, I tell you. A memento.
Memo.
A memento.
So Seki-san, what was that? Did you say mini memo?
Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from Zento's News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Frederick Nismo. Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk.
Ah, now that he mentions it.
It's that guy in it.
That's
That-
me.
That clown right there.
They secretly spy. Snapshot. Blah, blah, blah.
Could that same reporter be?
A camera to the left of him. A notebook to the right.
A pencil to the center. Now I'm filled with fright.
Here I am, stuck in the middle with Reddington Memento.
Memento Mori much?
So you're saying that the picture it was taken by Memento? Yes! My lord, your excellency, Esquire! Officer! Want the newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom!
Oh, I better get the fuck out of here.
We want adjourn for a short recess. Fine.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
As you say, Your Excellency.
And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University Medical Department for the task. Understood?
Meh. Mammy Memo!
I love that music.
Okay.
Okay. Whew.
That poor voice. That last part.
Mammy Memo, why do you do this to me? Why? Now I gotta
Just
wait
imagining
another...
him holding a picture of this person, just caressing it, like it's the locket from Hey Arnold.
I could show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, Memo, when was the last time you let your heart decide?
Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we gotta hunt down this reporter because apparently he took a picture of like the crucial moments. So now we gotta put him on the stand, but we won't do that till next week. So
Right,
we'll be
poor
back.
boy.
And don't worry, I think you'll just be on more judge regulating duties next time around because I won't be too much in that scene anymore in the next part.
Voice.
So next time around we will get to the conclusion of the first trial because all the cases in the first cases in every new Ace Attorney game has 2 parts in it. Well, almost all of them. Not all of them. Some of them do. So we will come back next week and we will see you then. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. And I'm not going to say happy Valentine's Day because every Valentine's Day is a spaghetti day, so you don't need to get hung up on it.
Hey, O-Top, have you seen my fish and chips?
All right.
Brother, run! We broke out of jail.
Wow, we're gonna get caught by the detective again. We gotta get out of here. Bye, everybody.
You saw this from back here. Come back here. My chips.
All right. Bye, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.